Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United 2, West Ham 1 on the US tour. This is your match reaction. And I tell you what, I think that game has probably raised more questions than answers in a positive way, but also in a potentially negative way, I suppose. This is why Bruno Fernandes has to play as a number 10. I don't think there's many people out. I mean, look, Ricky sent a message to me. I'll read it out to you if you didn't hear it on the watch along. He's happy for it to be spread. And he said this: Bruno took that goal brilliantly. It's a quality finish, but he's been the worst player on the field up to that. The main reason we can't keep possession. I don't know how difficult it is for people to get this, but we can't get anywhere with him playing regularly, despite how many goals or assists he gets. We've got to play better. Every time he scores a goal, in the long term, it's another nail in the coffin. Now, Ricky's always been very consistent about Bruno, but I am a fan of Bruno. I do like Bruno, but there's absolutely no way he can be the number 8. I don't know what Amrim's thinking about this transitional and swapping stuff around. He might have a number 8 on his shirt, but he's not a number 8 as a midfielder. He's a number 10. And he played as a number 10 predominantly most of the game today, and he gets 2 goals. And he could have had 3. He had a one-on-one. He ain't going to have those one-on-ones if he's playing in the midfield. And he's not going to get that goal if he's playing in the midfield because he's going to be playing a lot deeper. Bruno's a number 10. But I think we're going to see him playing in Mainoo's position, because if Bruno doesn't play as the 8, you've got Mount, Bruno, Xerxes, Ahmad, Emre and Cunha for 2 positions. So I think Bruno is going to play deeper, but I think that brings questions back to the midfield. But this is why Bruno should play as a number 10. If you look at the goal that they conceded as well, whether it's Bruno, Agate or Mainoo, we're 2-0 up. We're cruising. I know it's only pre-season. West Ham have got the ball with Todibo. One pass takes out our whole press and midfield. Soucek on the centre circle, turns, runs into space. No midfielders there at all. Plays it into Bowen and it's 2-1. So I still think that the questions need to be asked about the midfield and why there is still space in there for teams like West Ham to exploit. I mean, what is an Arsenal or a Chelsea going to do to us if we're going to press that high and leave the midfield open? So still a question around the midfield, sometimes systematically, sometimes on who we're actually playing in there. But I thought Agate played well. I preferred Agate and Mainoo to Casemiro and Bruno last week. I thought De Ligt was my man of the match. I don't know who yours was, get in the comments, but I thought De Ligt was rock solid again. Reminded me of some of those performances that we might have forgotten from last season. Bruno's second goal was fantastic, as we said. I think we did enough to win the game, but there wasn't huge. It wasn't a huge gap between us and West Ham. They probably ended up with more possession than us, but I think the difference is the quality of players that we've got compared to West Ham. They don't have a Bruno Fernandes. We do. And that was probably the difference. But look, I'm fundamentally very positive about it. I was saying this, I don't know what I was saying or thinking about it because it is quite late. It's nearly, well, it's 2 o'clock in the morning now. But I think that you've got to take the positives. And the positives for me are that after the Leeds game, you got a load of people talking about, Emre Mor and nothing's changed, and I don't want that going into a new season. I think we've got real opportunities to win a number of games against Fiorentina, Bournemouth, West Ham today and Everton. They're good fixtures that can build momentum, and I want us to do that. And it's nice to come off a game where we scored a couple of goals, we've won a game, and you don't have to listen to Emre Mor and all that nonsense, because I don't want that. I don't want that in season, so I certainly don't want it in pre-season. And I would rather focus on the negative. I would rather focus on the positives and not the negatives, because I think the positives outweigh the negatives here. There were some good performances. There were some glimpses of good performances. And I think as far as pre-season goes, it's not going to be perfect, but it's definitely a step forward from a week ago against Leeds. And if we can step forward next week, and obviously we will have Mbumo for that. Obviously, he wasn't available tonight because we bought him too late and he hasn't had a pre-season yet. But he should be in a position where he can at least play half an hour on Thursday and then maybe a little bit more the game after that. So Mbumo starts building But you know, that is a good point as well. I mean, I think we have to talk momentarily just about transfers for a moment. Still need a striker, definitely need a goalkeeper, and a lot of people are going to say again, where's the midfield? So 3 fundamental positions not been filled. But it also shows you why business needs to be done early, because United or Amrim in the press conference was, you know, waxing lyrical about how it's good to have the players in early. But Mbeumo's not really in early, is he? He's late because we've had 2 pre-season games and he's not fit because he hasn't had a pre-season. So you can talk about how it's great business getting Mbeumo in early, but he's not in early. Like, we've had 2 games and he's not fit to play for them. So just imagine if we brought a player in now, they're not going to be ready for the Arsenal game, and we're not going to bring a player in now, are we? So we are going to have to work with what we've got for the first, at least the first game or 2. So it's really important that people like Xerxes and Mazraoui get back fit and involved too as well. What else did I put down as well? Bruno, midfield, lots of positives, but we've got to be realistic. Yeah, there are positives, but we've got to be realistic. If that game was at West Ham in the season, I don't think there was a lot between us. Also, being a pre-season game, you make a lot of changes in the last 70 minutes, and it was, you know, a completely different game, really. One of the goals was a penalty, of course. Did we create enough good chances in the game? Not really. Bruno's chance before he scored one-on-one was probably the best chance we didn't score. And it wasn't like we dominated West Ham. And it is pre-season. But I thought the intensity was very, very good across the whole game. And I think we'll have got a lot out of it. The big thing I'm looking at, and I said it in the watch-along, to be fair, is that I'm absolutely convinced that the top 4 is going to take care of itself, because they're better than everybody else, and they've bought way better than everybody else. So the best we could hope for is 5th. And I'm sort of pitching us in at the moment as somewhere between 10th and 5th, which is 6 spots. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So if the top 4 are gone, you've then got Newcastle, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Brighton, Forest, Fulham, Bournemouth. So there's 7 teams there that I don't know who we're better than. I don't think we're going to finish. I mean, 4 plus 7's, we'd be 12th if all those teams finish above us. But how many of those teams are we going to be better than? Because if we're better than all of them, we'll get 5th. But if Newcastle are better than us and Villa are better than us and Spurs are better than us, then we're dropping down, aren't we? And Brighton and everyone else. So I just don't know where I pitch Man United at the moment. I don't know. I don't know how good we're going to be. What I will say, though, is that we're definitely better this week than we were last week. Cunha's a breath of fresh air in that team. Bruno's going to give the ball away, but then he's going to score goals and create goals. We know what Bruno is. If people are moaning about Bruno, I mean, I respect Ricky and anybody else, but we've seen Bruno like this for years. He does give the ball away, but then he'll get a couple of goals. So he's an asset. I do like the conversation about Ahmad. I think that is a very relevant conversation. Lots of you like him at right wing back. I would say the positive is that we have got a look. Playing with Delo at right wing back means that you've got basically a back 5. The way Amrim's system worked at Sporting that made it so exciting was that he had wingers playing at the wide, and you have 3 defenders and 2 wingers. So Ahmad playing on the right-hand side is actually more progressive and attacking. But at times in this game, because they've got a left winger, he effectively was not in the game. And my worry about that is that I want Ahmad on the ball. And when he plays as number 10, he's on the ball a lot more. So he might get the ball 10 times. Whereas when he's playing at right wing back, he might get the ball 4 times in attacking positions. So, look, I'm not against Ahmad at right wing back, but it is a bit of an adjustment because there's times when he's just not in the game because of where he is. You know, you're going to be on the ball a lot more in midfield than you are at right back. You're going to be on the ball a lot more as a number 10 than you are at right back. So, look, I think somebody's got to do that position. The positive is that we want it to be a winger, so why not Ahmad? The potential negative is that obviously he's not going to be on the ball as much, and at times he's going to be defending. But I mean, I'd rather see Ahmad there than Delo, because at least it's got an attacking element to it. Change the title to Mark Prattbridge as the 3T. What? Why? Don't you agree that Bruno won us the game? 2-1, Man United? Or are you turning it into a negative? We talk about the midfield, but why do we not even show signs of trying to transition through the 6 or 8 players or system problems, says James? Well, look. Why when we made all the subs did we start to see 50-yard diagonals? Long ball. It's players. It's IQ of players. I don't think that you can say it's system when they're not Amrim's players. If you brought in 2 players that were Amrim's, then I think that might be a little bit different. But these are not Amrim's players. So, I'll put Leeds in the title. Sorry. That's why. Idiot. I am a Prattbridge. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. I am tired. There we go. Let's change that. Give me Belieber and play Ahmad false 9, says Corey Lineker. Have you seen Romano getting riled up on Instagram, says Mitesh. I saw something about it. I don't really know what it's all about. N says, don't know about you, Mark. Thought there was a big ability gap between the first and second team. We became boring, got no possession and lost threat, says N. Look, we're not in Europe, right? Let me use Mason Mount as an example, because every time I see him in a number 7 shirt, it boils the blood, and it's not his fault. But why is he running around? Why did we give him the numbers? Anyway. But let me use Mason Mount as an example. We're not in Europe. He's on 250 grand a week. We paid 55 million pounds for him. Where the hell does he fit in this team if someone doesn't get injured? Like, where does he fit in this team? There is no place for him. So on the one hand, we're a football club that's sacking people to save money and working leaner. And on the other hand, there's certain areas of the team where we're carrying too many players. Because if Mbeumo and Cunha and Ahmad are going to be, playing in the number 10 positions, maybe sometimes at right wing back, but you might go defensive and use Delo or Mazraoui. And then you've got Xerxes, and Bruno can play there as well. When does Mount get in? And 250 grand a week, Mount should be a starter, not a bench player. So I do look around the team in some areas we're desperate for signings, like striker, goalkeeper, midfield. In other areas, I look at it and I go, we've got too many players. So it's ironic with someone like Mason Mount, who can't stay fit normally. He actually needs someone to get injured to get into the team. I can't see how he's going to get in the team. I really can't. Unless he starts playing really, really well, but then you've got to bench one of your own signings. Casemiro and Toby both have to go and be replaced, as Shay. Well, I said that in May that Collier was surplus to requirements, and I don't think a lot of people believed it, but I think he will be. Casemiro isn't the man to pair with Bruno in centre midfield, says Ethan. When pressing, one of our centre-backs should be pushing into the midfield to stop the line-breaking pass from opposition. System works, players don't get it, says Club. I do agree with that, actually, Club 1878. If you've got 3 centre-backs, then one of them's got to be doing a job. Like, you can't have 3 centre-backs dealing with 1 forward. So you're either moving across to let your fullback go forward and you cover the winger, or you step into midfield to let one of your midfielders press. It's what I've said about Bruno in the midfield. I don't think Bruno in the midfield works, but if he's going to go into the number 10 position, then one of the centre-backs is going to have to step into the midfield. Connor says, Dorgu man of the match for me, often criticised from United fans, but looked great again, in my opinion. I like Dorgu. I think he was criticised unfairly last season, and I think he's a young lad, and he's an Amrim signing, and I think he will get better and better. It's a step in the right direction, says Alex P. Lost twice to them last season and finished behind them in the league. Well, I wouldn't read it into that. I don't think the result's significant against the opposition. I think the result's significant in the journey of development for pre-season. I don't think it means we're better than West Ham. I just think it means we beat them in pre-season. Where was Mbumo? We're very crowded in the number 10 role, says Alberto. Mbumo should play in other games. Basically, they just said he hadn't had enough of a pre-season. Ruben Amrin won't put Bruno 10, but will push him 10, says JB. Number 1 sub earned a start next game. First 11 all day, says SJW. Who's the number 1 sub? Don't know. Amrin just said Mbumo won't play until Everton. Caleb has confirmed that as well. Amrin might be trying to use Ahmad like Kenda, says Tyler. Keeper gave us the goals. We was average all game, says Robert McCormack. And Andre Gomez says, when that B team came on, I knew the game was over. Some bright sparks. Personally thought Cunha was once again a star player, but it does show Bruno does not have a place on the team, as Mbumo is our 10, says Andre Gomez. That is incredible, you know, about Mbumo. I don't blame Amrim. Amrim has basically just come out and said that Mbumo will not be fit enough to play against Bournemouth on Thursday, but he will be for the Everton game. So he won't be ready to have his first game until next Sunday night, which is 2 weeks before Arsenal. This is the problem, isn't it? Because we didn't get the Mbumo deal done early. He's not fit for more than half of the pre-season. By the time we've played Bournemouth on Thursday, we'll have played more than half our pre-season games, and he's not fit for it. So basically, because we've bought Mbumo late, he's going to miss half of the pre-season games. And this is what we're on about. Like, even Mbumo's not an early signing. He will obviously be fit for Arsenal, but he's still missing out on games because we're late. We've been late with it. So, lots of love in the chat for Agate. One player I do want to shout out, and it might not be what you're expecting. I just want to shout out Aiden Heaven because I'm a big advocate, and we've had this with Garnacho, Chong, lots of Dorgu. Some of our fans are really harsh on young players making mistakes. We are a football club, Manchester United, that prides itself on being a place that develops young talent. Part of development is mistakes. Part of development is learning from those mistakes. Some people have been talking about Heaven being, you know, the solution to our problem at left centre-back. And he still can be. Bowen mugged him off on the goal, and I thought today he was a bit off in general. But at the age he is, that's the whole point. Like, there's going to be games where he plays bad, and there's going to be games where he looks brilliant because it's developmental. So I would really urge United fans to not start, you know, Heaven's not good enough because he's made one mistake, because he's going to make lots of mistakes. He will. All young defenders make mistakes. So yeah, look, obviously he should have defended it better, but he's a teenager, and I think he's got a bright future at Manchester United. So, you know, let's just have a little bit of protection for our younger players, because we have got a lot of young players potentially coming through over the next few years, as we know. So let's just be patient with the fact that that's the whole point about development. The squad that played the first 65 minutes impressed me, says Yuv. All that was missing was a clinical striker. We need a striker. And James says, well, you know what? I disagree, because I don't think we created enough chances in that game. I think the first 15 minutes, obviously Rasmus had that shot that hit the post. He had another one from the edge of the box, but we didn't create that many chances. The title doesn't say Leeds, it says West Ham if you refresh. If our squad stays the same this year, what do you think our chance creation and build-up play will look like? Early days, but still feels disconnected. That's why the next couple of games are so important, James. Like, we've got to start building connections because we can't go into the season cold. Important thing as a baller, you lose the ball, it's your responsibility to help the team get it back. Cunha showed this. He has that fire the team needs, says N. PK says, United have to do one thing after the transfer window shuts. Make sure Ruben stays in his job. Otherwise, we'll be starting in the lower leagues this time next year, says PK. Thank you very much. We are 10 subscribers away from 127,000. Well, 2,127,000. So please click and subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Really appreciate that. Just having a quick look if we've got any more quotes to bring in. And it's yeah, look, I think the big positives for me are probably the two signings from last year. Look, I don't think Bruno was man of the match. I don't know whether that's controversial. Super goal, super Bruno. It says it in the title. The second goal was brilliant. It's right in the top corner. The keeper makes the mistake, but it was a brilliant finish. But a man of the match for me is somebody that puts a performance in across the whole game. And I would give it De Ligt, because there was a period of about 5 minutes in the first half where he made about 4 blocks. So I would give it De Ligt. Second place would be Agate. I just wasn't happy with their goal. The midfield disappeared, and I think that Agate should be holding that midfield, but it was one mistake. But I thought Agate and De Ligt were our best two players. I was very impressed with Cunha again. Yoro was good. I thought Mainu was good. Dorgu was good as well. I don't think there was a bad performance, really. But yeah, I'll give it to De Ligt, in my opinion. Zigor says, Heaven getting shown up by their best player is not a big worry for me. Z3 Music Official says, best outcome we could have hoped for. Cunha looked good. Dorgu massively impressed. Agate looks much better than Casemiro. Overall game, that is really important as well, that Agate comes in, because Casemiro ain't got the legs for it, has he? He really hasn't. Anyway, I'm going to get to bed. It's coming up for 2:30 in the morning, and but I've thoroughly enjoyed the evening with you. I look forward to early hours of Thursday morning for the next watch along. Obviously, I'll be back with the 10 o'clock AM UK time show tomorrow with all the latest news. I mean, look, I'd love to be talking about some transfer activity. I don't know whether this result or performance changes anything, but obviously I think we do need to do more business, and the fact that Mbeumo won't be playing for another week just shows you that even if you bring players in now, it's even when you get here we go and official, they've still got to be trained up. You know, it's delay. I really don't see where Bruno fits in anymore, both up front and in midfield. It's weird, and the back passes will be the death of this team. And Amrim says, return of the Mac. And yet Bruno scored 2 goals. I think Bruno's a 10, but we've gone and bought 2 10s, so we're going to have to play him in the midfield, aren't we? And then we're having the same conversation as ever. Anyway, see the positives, not the negatives. Take care, everyone. Speak to you all in a bit. I'll see you in the morning, and thank you very much for tuning in. Stay safe.